John Rae he was a Hudson Bay man, a son of Orkney, born and bred. His early years on those windswept islands helped prepare him for what lay ahead. He was a doctor and explorer.
Good morning and welcome to the Hall of Clestrain, the house where John Rae was born in 1813 on September the 30th. We will be restoring this place. We're applying for Heritage Lottery grants and to many other establishments, and the first job is to really rescue it, because the asbestos roof has been on there over 70 years, and that's an incredible record for an asbestos roof. So we will have a new slate roof which will match the Orkney slates that were on it originally, and it'll all be done to the same pattern. Then the outside of the building will be harled to waterproof it. The windows will be changed to ones which will let in drafts of air so that the whole building can dry, and that'll be the first phase, including reinstating the pediment that was up above the door here. So the place will look grand again. The second phase will be to replace the windows, do a lot of interior work whilst the building has dried, and then fit it out properly. And there'll be a third phase, redoing the West Pavilion and rebuilding the destroyed East Pavilion. And we'll have a restaurant in the West Pavilion, and there'll be all sorts of other activities going on in the East Pavilion. And eventually we will have our Arctic Centre in the name of John Rae. And that will be an amazing thing. But first of all, before any of that can happen, we have to build a road here. We can't use the farmers' access for all our heavy machinery, so we have to build a road, and I'll show you where that's going to go shortly. With this view, as a young lad, being John Rae, looking over there, knowing that Canada was straight through the Hoy Sound, that's your signpost, and seeing the ships coming in and going out, in and out, and meeting the crews who wouldn't have been inspired to go to the Arctic Circle and work and survey and discover. So John Rae had this magnificent opportunity, and he will have met, before going there, as I said, ship's crews and things. His father, also John Rae, was the recruitment officer for the Hudson Bay Company. So sea captains will have come here, and John Rae will have met First Nations people who were also crewed on these boats and had a respectable way of life. And so the whole tie between here and Canada is like on an umbilical cord stretching for I don't know how many thousands of miles, but there it was, and what a pull. And that is why Orkney has such a great connection with Canada, Hudson Bay Company and the whole area. This here is the north door. This arrangement here, there's a buried stairway under these stones, and it goes down to a threshold nearly 3 feet below here, and that is the threshold that John Rae will have used. And the whole area within the hall was filled in with rubble from the destroyed East Pavilion, so that the pig pens could be built. People often say, what a shame to put pig pens in a beautiful house like this. Well, actually, it was the piggies and the pens that saved the hall, because it was worth maintaining for the pig industry. And if they weren't there, we wouldn't have it. So I'm grateful to those porkers. We had to cut out the concrete here so the archaeologists could go down below to try and find the original floor. Now, as you see, there's stacks of rubble in here, and that was the rubble from the East Pavilion there, just dumped in to raise the floor level. Now, that big slab, you see, held a big cast iron range for cooking, and there's a chimney behind here, and there's a vent into the chimney, so it vented into that, and that there is the lintel stone made of slightly igneous sandstone. But the surprise was, it's always a surprise with archaeology, you think you're going to find a nice flag floor. And when we got down there, it wasn't a flag floor, it was a cobbled floor. Quite large cobbles, beautifully laid. I'm afraid you can't see it in this shot because it's silted, but there'll be a photograph. And it was extraordinary. So we really want to get these stones out so we can see exactly what it was like in John Rae's day, when that would have been an open fire. And this brings the whole thing home to us, when we can see these features that haven't been seen for yonks, and they come to light fresh as daisy. You are looking at one of the most important views in Orkney. Not just in Orkney, but a world view. Because that is Hoy Sound, where the shipping would have come past going to the Americas, and back the way coming back. And the only safe route into Stromness, where the ships could resupply, was by coming to the centre of Hoy Sound, seeing this building, which was painted white, and then turning in and coming straight for it, thus missing all the nasty little rocks that stick up. And then when you could see Stromness, you could then just turn into Stromness Harbour. Now, you can't see Stromness from the other side of Hoy Sound, and Stromness can't see ships either. So this is the ideal vantage point. And here, this being a bedroom with a bedroom fireplace there, bed probably at that point, somebody, whether it's John Rae's father or anyone sleeping up here, could keep an eye open to see if ships' lights were coming in the way. And then Stromness could be signalled to say there's shipping coming, wake up boys, get everything ready, and open the pubs. So it was a very important navigation facility, and it is on the Admiralty maps. And this building is said to have been built in 1769, but there's a map, an Admiralty map, drawn by Murdo Mackenzie, which was published in 1750, and that has Clestrain marked on it. And so, this building was probably here. Well, we don't. The map was drawn 10 years before that, and only published in 1750. And who knows how old this building actually is? Our archaeology here will find that out. You can see the dilapidation of the interior of this hall. It would have been quite magnificent. You take this lath and plaster work here, which is just falling apart. I want to preserve that, just to let people see what a state this place has been through. And then the walls, which are completely green with mould. And as this place dries out, that mould will disappear. And there's blocked up fireplace there, which was probably faced with marble. And the great windows, which have been blocked again with concrete blocks, once they're opened up and the light just pours in, and the view of Hoy Sound. and there would have been another window there which was turned into a cupboard, and that had the main view of a road called the Coldamo Road, where all the produce from around here was driven down to Coldamo Bay and then shipped off to Stromness as ship stores for the Arctic convoys. It was an incredibly busy and frightfully important place. If you look up, you'll see ship's beams. Everywhere there's ship's beams, and that shows its nautical context. And these beams here, the roofing beams, are incredible. This is the largest span of roof in Orkney other than the cathedral, which is quite something. And it is in beautiful condition and will be preserved. And there are what are called tree nails, which is like big pegs that go through the beams to hold everything together. And there's a shipping mark from the Baltic. It's a Norwegian shipping mark, which indicates that this wood came from quite some distance. Well, you wouldn't get trees this tall and this straight growing close to Orkney. So the Baltic's the place. And that shows a lot of contact. And they probably knew the sizes and everything of the beams, and they all got ready to be assembled here. That's what the Vikings used to do anyway. Through this window, which will have been John Rae's time, and he will have looked through it, you can see there's a long dyke going up to the road, the Orfa to Stromness Road. And there is an old trackway coming down there, and that is where we've got to build our highway, our road to the Arctic, so that our visitors can come down, but also, most importantly at the moment, the heavy machinery coming, and cranes and things to do the roof and all that we need to do. And there's quite a lot of conservation to do along the road, because there's otter paths, and there's a burn up there called Otter Burn. So we've got to make sure that they are happy and comfortable, and that is one of our duties. But not only a road will we have down there, we'll have a cycleway and a footpath, so that you don't have to come here by car. One day there'll probably be a bus stop there, which would be great. It might even come down to the hall to bring visitors and then go off to Stromness. So we've got great plans for that area. Now the road, we had the quote just for the road, and that was £150,000. So we thought, right, we better start raising some money, and we made our appeals, and so far we have raised 61,000 of that sum, and in the next few months I want to get the whole lot, and then we can start. We've got to reapply the planning permission, but then we'll be doing planning permission for our whole scheme at the same time. So by the time we've got the planning permission, I want that 150 there so we can build the road, and then we can save the hall.